Greetings, night owls and brave listeners. Today we're going to dive into something dark. Something that shouldn't be spoken out loud. But hey, you came here to scare. So here we go. Part 1. The first time Claire noticed the photograph, she laughed. It arrived tucked under her apartment door in a slim, unmarked envelope, a Polaroid, the kind that always looked slightly overexposed and a little washed out, colors bleeding together like a memory recalled too late. She lived alone, in a block of one-bedroom walk-ups above the bakery, the rent just low enough that she could fill the fridge with groceries and occasionally split a bottle of white wine with B, her neighbor across the hall. It must be some dumb prank, Claire thought, holding the photo up to the sickly fluorescent light by her fridge. In the image, she was walking down Main Street, head bowed, clutching a cheap umbrella against the drizzle. People buzzed around her, faceless shapes moving in a rush, but she was unmistakably in focus, hair in a messy bun, the tan coat with the broken button, her favorite blue scarf. Someone had been watching her. Someone with a camera. Bea popped in half an hour later, her arms full of laundry. "What's that?" she inquired, squinting at the photo in Claire's hand. Claire shrugged, trying for nonchalance. "Just weird junk mail. Some bored teenager, probably." She dropped it in the trash, though she felt the image flinch against her fingers as it slipped away. That night, Claire dreamed in static flashes, her own blurred reflection in store windows, the snapping click of a camera shutter echoing endlessly, the hush of rain coating the world in a slippery, silvery sheen. She awoke tangled in sheets, the taste of metal on her tongue, heart galloping at something she couldn't name. By morning, the memory of the photo had faded into the background noise of city life. Before work, she knotted her scarf tight and blinked away the sleep, promising herself she'd call her mother later and laugh about her brush with modern urban weirdness. When she closed the apartment door behind her, she didn't see the second envelope waiting at her feet. Part 2. Work was the same as ever, phones chirping, keyboards clattering, clients grumbling. Claire's desk in the open-plan marketing office was a small canvas of calm, cactus in a chipped mug, a family photo, neon sticky notes blossoming over her monitor. At lunchtime, as she fished a microwaved burrito from the ancient company fridge, her phone buzzed. No ID. No subject. One image. She opened it and felt the air in the break room turn cold. The text was blank, but the attached shot showed her own window from street level. Curtains half drawn, lamplight pooling golden on the carpet. Her apartment was unmistakable. She remembered last night, glancing out to the street, sleepily regarding nothing in particular. Someone had been there. Someone had seen her see them. That's a little much, she thought, but tried to force the unease out. She blocked the number. Joked with B that night, voice wavering, "Guess I'm sort of famous now." She drank her wine a bit faster than usual. The world outside pressed closer in the coming days. A face in the crowd lingered on her blurred commute, a dash of color, a red cap, a navy scarf, appeared in the corner of shop windows, always receding as she turned. Garbage cans tipped over by her door in the morning, half-empty mugs of coffee abandoned in the stairwell, mysterious footsteps in the corridor stopping just shy of her threshold. "People are weird," Bea muttered, arms folded, after finding a crushed daffodil on her own doormat. "Neighborhood's not what it used to be." She tried to laugh it off, but the chuckle fell flat between their walls. The next morning, the third envelope awaited Claire, inside her mailbox now. It contained no photo, just a note torn from a grocery list, 4 words scratched in cramped, shaky pen. "You looked right at me." Part 3. Claire's world shrank to the dimensions of survival, door double-locked. Phone at hand, eyes peeled over her shoulder on each step home. At work, she tried to fit herself inside the old rhythms, but she caught herself flinching from the click of her coworkers' cameras at lunch. She started sleeping with the bedside lamp burning, telling herself it gave her power over the dark. B, noticing the dark moons under Claire's eyes, insisted they go out one Friday after work. The bar was noisy and white-lit, college students streaming laughter over the raffish old tables. For a while, Claire managed to let the sound drown the anxious tap of her heart. When she slipped away to the bathroom, she found her reflection strange and wary, lips pressed bloodless, tongue heavy with secrets. Later, back at her apartment, she found the envelope jammed under her door. This time, it held a lock of hair, her color, unmistakably, bound up with a blue rubber band. She scrabbled for her phone, hands trembling, meaning to call someone, to report something, to make this stop. Instead, she found a new message waiting. No number listed, just the blocky gray square of a system alert. "Nice haircut," it read. "I wish you'd smiled." Claire pressed her hand over her mouth, feeling nausea tunnel through her chest. The police were courteous, businesslike, but suggested she was likely imagining things. "You'd be surprised what people leave in public spaces," the officer said. "Maybe you dropped it yourself, miss." Claire packed the photo, the note, and the hair into a plastic bag, labeling it evidence, though somehow she knew it would never be enough. Part 4. She started walking home different ways, missing her old routines more than she could bear. Each route felt compromised, every turn and alley suspect. Twice she saw the same old man sitting on a bench outside the bakery, his eyes sliding across her like rain. She tried to meet his gaze one evening, but he only ducked his head, pulling his coat tighter, mouth working soundlessly. For a week, the envelopes did not come. Instead, she felt the watcher under her skin, when the phone rang with no answer, when the wind rattled her window after midnight, when the echo of her own footsteps returned just a second late. She told herself she was healing, growing paranoid, imagining shadows. She invited B for dinner, made too much pasta, let the laughter fill the empty spaces. That night, B left late, reminding her to bolt the door. Claire turned the chain 3 times. She tucked herself into bed, left the lamp burning. She dreamed of hands pressed up against glass, knuckles white with strain. The sound woke her around 3 a.m., not the heater, not the neighbors, but a taut, deliberate tapping on the window. She froze, heart cramping. It repeated, slow and patient, as if coded, tap, tap, pause, tap. Her phone lay on the nightstand, too far, too useless. She gathered up her courage, slipped out of bed, and approached the window on trembling legs. Nothing. Just the parking lot. Empty but for one car she didn't recognize, engine running, exhaust coiling in misty ribbons beneath the flickering lamp. The next morning, her phone chimed again. The new photo showed her apartment block at night, her own window framed dead center. In the foreground, she was visible, a silhouette at the glass, hand pressed against the cold. Part 5. Claire's boss, Patricia, called her into the office after a week of missed deadlines and late arrivals. "You look exhausted," Patricia said, concern tinging the formality of her voice. "If you need to take some time off." "I'm fine," Claire bit out, almost angry. "Just bad sleep. That's all." She was not fine. Each day, her face grew sharper, eyes grayer, smile harder to remember. She changed her routines, but it didn't change the tightening of the world around her. She bought blackout curtains, locked every window. She deleted all social media. But the letters found her, the envelope tucked beneath her windshield wiper, words scrawled in childish capitals, always watching. Later, the old man from the bakery bench shuffled over as she passed, head down, voice low as gravel. "Happened before, you know," he whispered. "Not the first." Claire stared at him, shocked. "What do you mean?" He wouldn't meet her eyes. "When you see something that isn't there, you get scared. But you keep looking, don't you? They want you to look. You don't get to stop." She tried to ask more, but he slipped away, into the seam of traffic and strangers. She visited the police again, but their questions were softer now, eyes full of pity more than purpose. "No prints." "Not much to go on," one detective sighed. "The world's full of creeps, Miss Emery. Take care of yourself, okay?" That night, B texted, "Wanna hang out? You sound low." Claire started to type a cheery yes, but another ding interrupted her. No caller ID. One photo. BEA's building, shot through the half-closed blinds, a figure slumped on her couch. The timestamp matched the message. Part 6. She called B until her fingers ached. The phone rang twice, then clicked to voicemail, her usual goofy message, suddenly monstrous in its innocence. Claire threw on a coat, ran the stairs 2 at a time, banged on BEA's door until her knuckles bled. A light flicked on inside, and for a breathless second, she saw a figure stare through the peephole. Then B opened up. "Jesus, Claire. It's almost midnight, what's wrong? Did you let anyone in?" Claire gasped, brushing past her, searching the rooms, opening all the closets, terror mounting with each empty space. B, rattled, trailed behind her, arms folded. "Claire, this is getting out of hand. You need to sleep. You need help." When Claire showed her the photo, B paled, lips trembling. But the windows were shut. The lock was solid. No one was there. As Claire walked home, she felt eyes on her, double the usual weight, pressing so hard she nearly staggered. That night, as she lay awake, every creak and groan of the old building became a cadence of intent. When she closed her eyes, a face pressed up behind her lids, faceless, shifting with each blink. The next morning, there was no envelope. But her place had changed, she felt it instantly. Mug misplaced, curtain drawn a little wider. The blue scarf was draped over the back of her chair, not in the closet where she left it. It was like someone had stood in the center of the room, breathing her air, touching her belongings with careful, deliberate hands. Part 7. Claire stopped sleeping. She circled the apartment at odd hours, checking locks, peering out through the peephole into the stale corridor. She bought a cheap security camera, only to find its footage corrupted for 2 hours each night. The red light flickered, but nothing ever showed but a smear of gray fuzz. B stopped answering her texts except for quick, tense reassurances. "Claire, please call your mom. Please see someone." Claire tried, but words stuck in her mouth like glue. What would she say? "Someone is breaking in, rearranging my things, sending me photos." The authorities had already lost interest, her friends were drifting, wary. At work, Patricia handed her a stack of papers with a tight smile. "Take a week," she said. "Rest. This can wait." Sleep-deprived and frantic, Claire began to see things at the edges of her vision, movements that dissolved when she fixed her gaze, the sense of a whisper just below the threshold of sound. The noise of the city turned sinister, the bark of a distant dog, the rumble of garbage trucks, the urgent patter of rain on concrete, all threatening, all personal. She started carrying a kitchen knife in her bag. One dusk, walking home through an unfamiliar side street, she saw a reflection in a shop window, a person in an old gray coat and red hat, matching the one that had haunted her periphery for weeks. But when she spun around, the street was empty. Behind her, a letter carrier whistled tunelessly. From his bag hung an envelope, its edge worn and familiar. As she passed, the mailman winked. "You have a secret admirer," he said, and walked on. Part 8. The city itself seemed to tilt against her. Her apartment's plumbing sputtered, power flickered at odd hours. She swore she heard her name in every brittle scrape of wind against the glass. Every news broadcast felt like it was coded just for her. Claire found herself pacing her tiny apartment. Walls closing in, every shadow thicker, corners suddenly deeper. Then, a knock at the door, deliberate and soft, just after midnight. She stared through the peephole. Nothing. She waited. Another knock, slightly louder. Phone in one hand, she dialed B. The ringing sounded hollow. At last, B picked up, voice slurred with sleep. "Claire, what?" "He's here," Claire whispered, breath ragged. "He's at the door." "Call the police." B hissed. "I'm scared," Claire replied, and the line went dead. The knock came again, lighter, almost playful. She squeezed the knife so tightly her palm ached, standing inches from the door, trying not to breathe. After what felt like hours, she heard slow steps recede down the hall, fading into silence. The city outside moaned with wind, traffic, the distant lilt of sirens. She stared at the door and didn't sleep at all. When the sun bled through her curtains, she found a new envelope wedged beneath the door. Inside, a photo of herself standing directly behind her own front door, knife upraised, shoulders hunched in terror. The angle was unmistakably from inside her apartment. Part 9. Terror nested in every fiber of her being. Claire fled to BEA's in the gray of morning, barely remembering to lock her own door. B let her in with a trembling hug. "Please," Claire begged, "I'll sleep on your couch." He got in. He could come back any time. B, though frazzled, relented. All day Claire camped on the sofa, every so often shuddering at the sound of traffic outside. The doorbell chimed around mid-afternoon, 3 clipped rings. Delivery for Claire. BEA's hand shook as she signed for the package and set it in Claire's lap. Inside, a music box, heavy antique brass, old and intricately carved. When she opened it, the tinkling song inside was strange, unrecognizable, but carried a note of eerie, childish nostalgia. Claire's gut twisted. Beneath the box, a note. "You have always been mine." B grabbed the box, meaning to throw it, but the melody stuttered, warped, as though struggling to continue. Both of them froze as their phones vibrated in perfect unison. A new image, the two of them on BEA's couch, as viewed through a long, distorted lens, possibly from the apartment window across the alley. They left that night, checking into an anonymous hotel. Locks double-bolted, they slept in the same bed, terrified. But at 3:17 a.m., Claire's phone buzzed once more. She snapped upright, another photo, this time of herself asleep, mouth parted, head pillowed awkwardly against BEA's hair. The photo had been taken moments before. There was only one line in the message. "You're safe now. With me." Part 10. In the sterile safety of daylight, they changed hotels, then left the city altogether. Claire called her mother, choking out half-truths, asking if she could stay, just for a bit. She tried to make sense of it all, changed her number, wiped her phone, tossed the music box in a dumpster on the highway. But the sense of surveillance persisted. At her mother's suburban house, the mailbox filled with advertisements and bills. One evening there was a letter, address handwritten with achingly familiar care, though no name or return address at all. Inside was a single key, silver and unadorned. Taped to it, a sticky note, read in the careful block letters she'd come to dread. "You're almost home." That night, she heard footsteps in the upstairs hallway, her mother's voice trailing off mid-lullaby in the next room. Her phone vibrated once at 2:34 a.m. This time, no photo, just the ping of a new message, strangely comforting in its simplicity, as though someone were whispering just behind her ear in the dark. "You never really left." The stories on the news, people missing, found weeks later wandering, amnesic and haunted, describing things only the watchers know, started to sound like secrets only she could fully understand. The city, the music box, the blurred reflections in shop windows, each piece slid quietly out of reach, as if receding into dream. Claire began waking up in the wrong places. Once on the kitchen floor, curled tightly around nothing at all. Once with mud on her hands and knees. Locks found undone. Blinds open, cups moved from one cabinet to another. Her mother called the doctor. Claire tried to explain, but no word fit, not stalked, not haunted, not watched. She felt herself thinning into ghostliness, the space around her tingling with the hum of unseen eyes. One night, stepping into the moonlit hallway toward her own room, Claire glimpsed movement in the ancient gilt mirror. She spun, heart a thundering drum, and for a split, impossible second, she saw not her own eyes but a stranger's, patient, hungry, delighted. The reflection reached for her, beckoning her inside. The house settled around her, silent, thick with secrets. From some depth inside the darkness, a music box lullaby ticked uncertainly, the melody drifting in and out, never quite remembered, never quite forgotten. Claire stared into the glass as her reflection faded, smile wide and welcoming.